Guys, Solo Leveling episode 4 is upon us, and I have to say, it's the most hyped episode yet, and I am so happy to be able to talk about it with you guys right now. First, I think it's the best episode we've had so far. Sure, I love the setup that happens in episode 1/2, but I do like that we're finally seeing the action that I was kind of hoping we would get to see in this series. The speed of it was phenomenal. I really like the flow, and I like the character as he's going through these action scenes and growing throughout the episode. Start of the episode, Jinwoo was still this scared character, thinking that everything is going to be his end, and he starts to understand the system, understand the strength that he put in his stats, gives him some abilities, and we get a really look into like a leveling system we rarely get to see, and that's a character kind of talking about, hey, I have extra points in strength. That's easy for me to understand, but an extra point in intelligence is kind of hard for me to comprehend how that changes things. That's a really cool thing to kind of fight with or think about as you're going through this kind of series, and you're just like, let's try and see how Jinwoo changes throughout the story as a character based on his stats. And thinking about the manhwa, he really does. And I do like that they just called that out and how that's just not your typical thing that you have to think about as a human being fighting in this world. Speaking of fighting, let's talk about the fights this episode, because we went through a bunch of dogs, kind of ripped them apart, did great. Character arc there where he got like struggling against one or two, then he's basically slaying dozens of them at a time, leveling up, getting stronger. But the main thing is this: the fear is dropping. The idea that I have faced worse. I have faced my end. I've died once. I don't have to be afraid of it again is just a great thing to deal with in a manhwa. And I think that they're doing it really well. They did it well, obviously, in the manhwa itself, but the anime adaptation is working really well for me in that sense. And the voice acting is really delivering on the intensity of the character and those crazy moments when he's about to die. That being said, the snake fight. This made me happy because we finally got to see a fast-paced, high-intensity fight and seeing how that kind of looks. My only gripe is I don't think the frame rate was right. The snake felt like it was a little jumpy in the different frames that were jumping from each other because it was moving so quickly. I don't think they were able to kind of do it justice in that way. But at the same time, without doing it 3D animation style, I don't think the studio would have quite been able to deliver what they did. So I'm perfectly happy. I think it looked great. Also, the brutality of being hit against a wall, thrown across rooms, nearly drowning against a monster hundreds of times your size, is kind of nuts. Particularly that he just kind of understood his stats. Clearly he's a little durable. But just that brutality, the blood, the gore, the action, it all worked so well for me this episode. Finally, he exits his dungeon. He's leveled up. He's super strong. He encounters that moment that I still remember from the manhwa really well. I do find it didn't quite hit as hard in this one, but just that moment where he's like, oh, the boss is there. Oh, that's a D-rank boss. That's not even as strong as what I faced. Let me just throw my sword. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to throw my sword, nothing else. Breaks the guy's armor. They're able to finish him off, or more or less he's already finished off, and he walks away. It's like the intro of Cool Jinwoo right there, but also he's already kind of, I don't want to be involved, but I'll do what I can to help those that helped me in the past. That dealing with PTSD thing I think worked really well, and I think she's an interesting character for this part of the story. And I don't know, man, I think I'm super hyped to see where this is going to be going. I have one more thing to call out, and that is this episode. I used it for the thumbnail. That moment when his eyes glow white and his hair goes up. It's almost Super Saiyan right there. But you see the glimpse of what Jinwoo will become. And, man, not quite chills, but hype as hell. And I cannot wait to see where this goes. Guys, drop a comment down below. If you're an anime-only guy, I'm curious, or girl, curious to see what are your thoughts about the series so far. Are you hyped for the next episodes? Is it delivering as an anime for you? Because it's kind of hard for us manhwa lovers or light novel lovers to see it kind of in a vacuum. We see it as kind of an extension of those things. But I'm curious to see your thoughts. And for you light novel manhwa lovers, is it delivering? I felt it kind of did this episode. Never quite to the heights of what we hope, but I'm hyped for what's coming next.